Well, that is a very interesting question. How much time do you have? You know, you can. YouTube's really useful in the sense of like it's entertaining. I see some good documentaries on there. I see some good helpful tips and tricks. Generally, let's say if I wanted to fill my water heater with water and get the pressure up, those come in handy for sure. I think in terms of car wrapping though, what you're gonna find, material can be quite expensive. What you're wrapping is quite sensitive in terms of you don't wanna cut the car. So there's kind of like a high risk factor when you're wrapping cars, plus a high cost factor, especially when you get into paint protection film. And so one of those things, you're gonna see a lot of videos on YouTube that are done by people who might have a big following, but they might be very good rappers and they might not have good information. So it might look good on camera and in that video, but when you start to put that into practice, you're gonna find that A, the material they're probably using isn't very good, probably because they're getting paid to promote that material. And B, they're showing you stuff that looks good on camera, but doesn't hold up well and it doesn't apply to actually kind of building professional level skills. So it can be helpful, especially if you're just starting out, but if you really want to scale and grow, that's why getting a membership on the Rapid Institute is super affordable, but you're going to get access to videos that are made by professionals in a professional way. So you can do it, but it's just, you're going to get what you pay for. I've been in this industry for a long time and I hear a lot of manufacturers, I see their product bulletins and technical bulletins and they say our film stretches 30% or 40% or 50%. And I mean, that might be true in terms of, maybe in the lab they tested it and it really held. Maybe, I doubt it, but maybe, they say it did. The only thing is, even if the material stretches that far, primarily for commercial and for color change, if you stretch the film past 10%, if a print film, let's say you have graphics, they're gonna look really Salvador Dali. And if you have a color change film, like say you have a matte finish and you stretch it past 10%, it becomes satin. So with color change film and full print film, really don't want to take it past 10%. So for me, I really don't care if it stretches or is able to stretch farther than that. It just won't look very good. With paint protection film, they do say it has a lot of elongation that you can really form it in. But even then, you're taking a lot of risk in terms of it popping out, let's say out of a recessed area. So for us at the Rapid Institute, we just have this cardinal rule, try to keep it under 10%. If you do, the adhesive wins and it looks good. So at the Rapid Institute, we've actually created an 8-step protocol for getting a vehicle ready to rapid roll, and that's for commercial, color change, and PPF. So it's the same for all three, which makes it easy. But even before that, it's always a good idea to have the client wash the car before they drop it off. Always should be the day before, ideally. No waxes, no any of that bling bling on the wheels and stuff. Just very straightforward. And then when the client drops off, good to go. Always make sure you add a cleaning fee if they don't drop the car off clean, because that just obviously eats into your time. Make sure you have that very clear with the client. And then with the 8-step protocol, this is a PDF that you can download from the Rapid Institute, and we highly recommend getting a membership on the Rapid Institute. We have all these free workflow PDFs, because then that's very easy to reference and you can hand it to your team and build. The main thing you want to take away from that is make sure you use the right tools. The biggest thing is I see people don't use very good microfiber towels. You want to get high quality microfiber towels. They absorb better and they hold up longer, and they also don't scratch the car, which is big. You also want to use what's called absolute rinseless wash. Rinseless washes are very good for moving that dirt, super safe, and there's very good ones out there that are actually good for the environment and good for you as well. You don't need much, which is really nice. So make sure you use absolute rinseless wash, good towels, and then make sure you get a clay bar scrubber. Clay bar scrubber makes that surface super smooth, and you should even do that for commercial. A lot of people skip the clay bar process for commercial wraps, and I think that's a bad idea because you want your commercial wraps looking just as good as paint. And so if you really take that step and with the clay bar scrubber, it doesn't take that much time, but you get really beautiful results that the customers definitely can see. The drying towels help speed up the process, especially in the wintertime and spring, if it's raining outside and that car is super wet. And Triple S is one of those sneaky prep tools that really help lower that surface energy, especially for color change, that really avoids sanding and adhesive lines. So again, that 8-step protocol with all those tools, that of course you get them all at Indie Graphics, you'll really be pleasantly surprised not only how easy and quick it is to prep the car, but the quality of the final wrap is all based on that. Well, that is a very interesting question. How much time do you have? It really depends on what you're wrapping. Commercial generally tends to be pretty fast. Color change can be much longer. And paint protection film, especially if you're doing the whole vehicle, can take a long time, especially if it's wet. And then there's a lot of variables in between. Let's say for commercial wraps, you have partial wraps, you have cut vinyl, you have, and if you want to do full coverage, it really depends on the type of film you're using. Some films are more aggressive than others that can really eat into the install time. And also depends on how you're doing that full coverage. At the Rapid Institute, we highly recommend not wrapping door handles and mirrors if you put the color car in the print. That saves a lot of time, and also cold cutting those wheel wells. But then if you're wrapping those door handles, mirrors, and then wrapping all the way inside those wheel wells, that actually makes the install time go up quite a bit. And for color change, it really depends on the color of the car. If the car is not black or dark gray, your install time generally goes up 20% because you have to take off more hardware, wrap the film deeper to get that full coverage. So for color change, that's the rule of thumb. And then for paint protection film, it really depends on whether you're using bulk style or templates, and also if the client's expecting full coverage around the edges or you're cool with just cutting flush at the top. And that can really make a difference in terms of install time by, let's say, 20 to 30%. So full coverage wrapper around the edge or flush cut on the face. And also templates tend to be much quicker than doing bulk, so that can also vary in the time. So as you can see, lots of layers, but hopefully this helps you better understand the flow. For the longest time, most of the colored films out there were PVC. And PVC is generally, let's say, 4 mil thick. And it is very flexible and you can install it dry. For the longest time, paint protection film was clear, either gloss or matte, but it was transparent and that had to be done wet. Starting about 4 or 5 years ago, they started adding color to PPF. Originally it was just wet, so it actually made for an extremely difficult install. So there's a big difference between color PPF wet versus dry PVC. But I would say in the last 2 or 3 years, dry apply PPF has really caught on, and that install time is actually very comparable to PVC color change film. So if you're doing PVC color change film and dry apply color change films, those install times are relatively the same once you get the hang of it, but the install flow and dynamics are much different. So times are about the same, but you really have to dial in each one because the material behaves differently in terms of especially corners and how far you have to wrap around.